Are over here. You got Mornings in the Lab with Keith Bilous, CMartyFit, and Jon Andersen. The second hour is starting right this second, nation. We are getting after it here. There it is. There's that familiar sound you guys are used to here on the show. We got Jeff Hadden hanging out with us, waiting in the green room. Thanks for patiently hanging out with us, Jeff. We're going to get you in here in a couple of moments here. And let's see here. Let's bring Jon up there. Jon, you did it, man. You found the stream link, buddy.
Well, there was only one choice. It was much easier this time.
Good to have you here. We got Jeff Hadden coming in here to come. Jon, I know you have not probably seen some of the videos that Jeff makes because we got to get you reconnected over on LinkedIn, and you've been out in the woods for the last couple of weeks. But dude, I got some videos to show us here today, which are going to crack you up along the way here. Jeff is making content on LinkedIn that people aren't seeing, and it is exceptional. Thanks for tuning in over here. Good time. I'm happy you joined us over here as well. So listen, before we bring Jeff in, Jimmy, let's get a video set up here to introduce the audience to Jeff Hadden, because Marty, I know you've been seeing his stuff, man. He is a funny mofo.
Definitely a funny guy.
And we got the button ready for Jeff. I think Jeff's like, I'm not sure what this button is these guys are going to press for me today. But yeah, we got a button for Jeff that we're going to be ready to rock and roll. And yes, So Young, I know this is going to be hilarious. I'm looking forward to it. Johnny?
I just want to put this on the table. If my co-hosts don't get me a button soon, there's going to be consequence.
We are working on the button. John. Oh my God, Lotus Flowers. Yes, we got a 2-hour show today, Lotus. We are rock and rolling. We're just getting bigger. We got producer Flynn on the staff now, and she's just bringing guests left and right here. So before you know it, Lotus, you're going to get up. We're going to have like a 4-hour show. So that's the plan here with Business Athlete Nation. And there you go. That's funny, a Lotus Flower. So listen, Jimmy, let's put a video up here before we welcome Jeff into the show here. Jeff got up for us this morning, Johnny. He's on your time zone. And I know, Jon, I'm going to prepare you for this. You can acknowledge Jeff. Hey, I got to tell you guys, I invited Jeff to the first hour of the show, Jon, and he's like, oh, I'm going to be asleep. I'm like, dude, Andersen gets up early. You can join the show. So he got up early today for us to join the show. He's on the Pacific time zone. But Jimmy, let's get a video set up for let's do the widescreen growing video, Jimmy, to show that on the screen. Some content from Jeff Hadden to set the audience up with what's going to happen with Jeff Hadden here. So, Jimmy, I'm going to throw the widescreen video up on the screen here. I got the vertical, you got the horizontal. Okay, pal? Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to show you how much real estate you're wasting when you post a widescreen video on LinkedIn.
So I don't know how well that turned out technically, but we're learning. That was a video that Jeff put on LinkedIn last week, guys, of the power of a vertical video versus a widescreen video, and it's exceptional. Many people make widescreen videos, and Jeff's like, well, no, if you do a vertical video, it's gonna offer that much more to the audience, and I think that one performed pretty well for him. So why don't we stop the chitter chatter amongst us, and why don't we bring in our guest here today, Jeff Hadden, into the lab here this morning. Jeff Hadden. Good morning, brother.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
We're awesome. How are you, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Oh,
What's going on?
Close to awake.
How many coffees you had this morning, pal?
I'm 1 or 2 deep.
You're 1 or 2 deep? Yeah. So what time did you get up today, buddy? I know I don't know if you're a morning person. What time did you get up this morning?
About an hour ago.
Yeah. Oh, so you would have been late for the first hour show then.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you're on the West Coast. Where on the West Coast are you, brother?
No, I'm actually in the Denver mountain time zone.
Okay.
I told you, man, I'm not a morning guy. You talk to me at like 10 at night. I'm vibrant.
Jeff is the brilliant mind behind Popper.ai, a platform that adds a dash of humor and creativity to LinkedIn DMs with personalized GIFs and memes. He's LinkedIn Maverick. He's a retro game show host. When I saw that hat, and I thought to myself, you're going to get the vibe we're doing here on the show. You lead with integrity, and you are a Colorado Springs connector. Proudly based in Colorado Springs, Andersen. Yep. Jeff's deeply involved in the local tech and startup scene, always looking to make meaningful connections. And I see the stuff you're putting out there on LinkedIn, Jeff. And I got to tell you, man, when I saw your video there and I said to Jon and Marty, I got to create a spotlight we're going to shine a light on. Dude, on a purely human level, every single day you make me laugh. And I just want to thank you for that humbly. I really do. Because, you know, the world's full of a lot of crap all over the place, but I can be guaranteed when I see something from you in my feeds, it makes me laugh. It puts a smile on my face, and it makes me feel really good. So I just want to gratefully say thank you for that. And I mean that sincerely, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And just to tone down expectations, I heard the intro. Oh, he's going to be freaking hilarious. You guys just wait. Like, easy. Let's just tone it down a little bit.
Yeah, but you're a retro game show host.
He's already funny right there. He's already cracking jokes. I love it.
We do a retro morning show, Jeff, from 1978. How can we be any less funnier than you are?
Yeah, I love it, man. I think the concept is great, and I grew up on this stuff too. The Howard Sterns of the world and these morning show. You guys are definitely you're making that vibe a reality. So congratulations and staying consistent with it every day. That's half the battle.
Thank you for that.
Most of the battle.
That is, isn't it? That is. And how do you stay consistent with the Jeff? And Marty, I saw your comment. Thanks, brother. I know Marty, Johnny, if you guys have some commitments, all good here. We got Jeff, and we'll keep rocking and rolling here. But Jeff, how do you stay consistent on a daily basis? How do you keep your creativity?
Keith paused on me. Are you guys?
You froze up a little bit, Keith.
Oh, sorry. Jeff, how do you keep yourself creatively fresh so regularly, Jeff?
I take lots of baths. That's part of it. Just staying fresh. No, I'm too big to fit in a bathtub.
So if you didn't take baths, you wouldn't be as creative.
Exactly.
That's what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I keep myself fresh. So, it didn't. I wasn't always this way. It basically, I started doing it and learned to just kind of build the muscle around it, where the concept of coming up with new ideas and implementing new ideas didn't become as daunting, as hard. And now I listen to kind of my inner monologue. Like, I'll have an idea that comes to me, driving to the grocery store, or just some random thing. And I'm like, gosh, that actually could be something. And I'll jot it down. And ultimately that becomes a piece of content that I'll end up putting out there. So I really believe that building that muscle around it, though, is the most important part. Once you do, it just becomes so much easier. It's not that daunting task of putting something together and the fear of is this gonna pop or not. That becomes much easier as you do it more.
Yeah. Jon Andersen, lean into that comment. I know you're a big fan of that building the muscle, repetitive. When you hear Jeff talk like that, what comes to mind for you, Johnny?
Yeah, it's so true. It's between the actual physical act of repeating something, the neural pathways of repeating something. It's literally like building a muscle. When you exercise any level of consistency on anything, it gets easier and you get better. And it would, especially with the consistency, it changes the trajectory of your path.
Exactly it. Marty, when you hear Jeff talk about, what he's doing these days and, building that repetitiveness to the muscle, what do you think about, Marty?
Oh, yeah. And when you build that muscle, it gets easier and it becomes like second nature.
Yes.
So, if it comes to making a vertical video, right? If that's what you're trying to improve on, if you want to be more consistent with that, you'll get to a point where it's like, all right, it's just part of my day. I don't even have to think about it. You know, a lot of people struggle with that. I just brought that up because a lot of people, that's like an obstacle for them posting content consistently. So, same concept.
Jeff, what struck me about your content, and as I got to know you through the feed there and looking at your content and what you're putting out there, what really excited me was that you've leaned into humor. You've leaned into something very different that happens on the LinkedIn feed. And that's, to be frank, when I started the show and when I got, when I jumped onto the platform about a year ago and started doing my live streaming onto the show, onto LinkedIn, perhaps like yourself, I really wanted to do something unlike anybody else was doing.
Yeah.
What was your inspiration to do that, Jeff?
I look back at some of the content that I was putting out there, and it was random thoughts. It was like, oh, I went to the grocery store and, had bad customer service. We need to be better at customer service because it matters. And at the time, that post that I'd created resonated with me, but wasn't really funny, wasn't really all that insightful. It was just more of just like this random observation that I was making, and it wasn't working at all. So what precipitated kind of my transition to starting to create humorous content on a consistent basis actually started with this retro style game show. It was an idea that I had been rattling around in my head that I thought was probably too crazy to actually pull off and to do. It was just one of those things that, I was like, this would be fun, but I'm not the guy to pull it off because it's too scary.
Yeah.
And I was talking with a creator that most people know on LinkedIn. She's got a huge following, and we were talking about some sort of partnership, and I threw this out there. I was like, well, what do you think about this idea? And she loved it. And that was pretty, that was a nudge that I needed to be like, oh, really? Somebody else likes this idea. This is not just some stupid thing that I started thinking about in my head. So the idea of this retro style game show, it's called Sales Game, was born. It basically bring in 4 contestants who go through various rounds. One of those rounds is where they actually do an impression of somebody that is famous. So, do an impression of Christopher Walken as an example while they're delivering sales advice. It's hilarious. So I've run to date 8 episodes of this show, have met a ton of super interesting people who are creators who put themselves out there and really are authentically themselves. And what works is that they're free. They are themselves. And that was kind of what unzipped me from this, mask that I was wearing.
Yeah.
To say, what I really like to do is I like to create content that's funny and humorous. And I really leaned into that, especially over the last 3 to 4 months. And it's been freeing. It's been a blast. I'm getting so much more out of it. And it's me. And that's the most important thing. I'm not trying to do something that doesn't feel right. This feels right to me.
So you got Jenny joining us here on the show, guys, with on Jake on her husband's computer, and I'm bringing her up because Jon, Marty, Jenny talked about when she started her entrepreneurial journey, people were questioning and wondering what the hell she was doing, and she was wondering if she had the confidence to do it. And Jeff, it sounds very similar to yourself. You're like, I got this idea in my head, and I don't know if I should do it, and reluctant to doing it, and it took some people around you to have that encouragement to do it. But I gotta tell you, Jeff, as I've watched your content on LinkedIn, I'm looking at you. I'm thinking that we're probably similar in age. And I'm
35 too.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 35. Just turned 35 yesterday. Yeah, John's just turned 36. But no. What I'm saying is that you inspire me, man. Because I'm an old dude like you. I'll say that, and I'm thinking, dude, if that guy can have fun making fun content on LinkedIn, then that just gives me the fuel to do the same thing, because I wanted to come onto the platform and celebrate who I am as a human being. And while I don't think I'm the funniest guy around, I like to drop some humor and have fun in business, because the world is crazy enough as it is. So when I see your content, it just gives me the fuel to do it again every single day. And then when you make the comment on, you just said this a couple moments ago, where I don't know, something along the lines, I've never been happier because you feel like you're free.
Yeah.
Dude, I had a conversation with my kids 3 months ago. I got a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And I was maybe, Jeff, giving about 97, 98% because I was reluctant to give 100 because I was afraid of what my kids are going to think.
Yeah.
My kids looked at me like, Dad, just go be yourself, man. Go all in. And I was like, yes. And that moment they gave that to me, it was like me to be fully me, Jeff Hadden, and just kind of put it all out there and be even more authentic than I was before that moment. Do you have children, Jeff? And I bring that up because if you do, what do they think of Funny Dad?
Well, they've known I'm hilarious like since the beginning. I mean, so I don't think it's any surprise to them. But yeah, I think they're happy that I'm happy that I'm out there doing it. Now, neither of these, I've got two boys. They're both out of the house, 21 and 23.
Yeah.
They're not on LinkedIn. So there's probably some stuff that they haven't seen. They're like, God, Dad, I can't believe you did that.
Marty, question for Jeff.
Yeah, I was going to say, how important is it to, I guess, lean into things that you really enjoy, or lean into things that you're passionate about, that make you feel like yourself?
Oh, I think it's everything. I think if you're there's no reason for you to be. We'll talk specifically about LinkedIn because that's the platform that I'm committed to. But there's no reason for you to be sharing content just for the sake of sharing content. You need to find what really inspires you, mm-hmm. and what makes you feel good. And oftentimes that's educating other people on concepts. It doesn't have to be humorous by any means. But when you find whatever that zone is that's you, that's authentically you, that's when you know you're in your lane. And I flailed for a long time, trying to figure out what my lane was. And I see others that are out there that still maybe haven't quite found their lane. But keep pushing, keep trying, and err on the side of being more you, like putting yourself out there more. It makes a huge difference.
Jeff, how did you know you found your lane, Jeff? Like when what was there an aha moment? Was it driven by metrics? Was it driven by a feeling? John's a bit of a feeling guy. How did you know you found your lane moving from flailing around, Jeff Hadden?
I had a couple ideas so I'll back up. So I've been in and around video for a while now. I have a video production business that at one point I was going to launch, nationwide, worldwide, and I've dialed that back significantly since then. But I learned a lot about how to create video content, just like the mechanics of doing it.
Yes.
So that was not a huge obstacle for me, which for some folks, that's a concern. Like, well, I don't know how to edit video, and it's becoming easier and easier every day with the tools that are out there. So I had that going, but I wasn't really creating videos with me as the star of the video. And I had a couple. We're months into Sales Game at this point, the retro style game show. So I'd run many, many episodes of this. I had some people on the show that were absolute heroes of mine in terms of what they'd been doing and what they'd been putting out there. One of those guys, his name is Chris Van Prague. If you're not following him, the dude's hilarious. But I remember this first video that I put out there that was one of these wild, zany ideas. And I was like, gosh, it'd be really fun to put this out there. And I finally decided to just pull the trigger on it, created the video. I was getting ready to post it on LinkedIn. And I mean, this is really the first time I put myself fully out there, like doing kind of a skit, in character, like something that's way goofier than anything I'd done before, even though it felt good to me. I'm worried what other people will think. And I push send on it. And I got this comment. I've never told Chris this story, but I got this comment from him that said, dude, I need more of this, in all caps. I love this. And that was like just that even extra little push for me to go. Yeah. That was because I had a blast. I mean, it felt to me like the best piece of content with me in it that I'd ever put out there. And so that was really kind of what started, me getting over myself and, getting out of my own way.
Sometimes that's all you need. Just one person or one comment or one moment of positivity to really, send you in the right direction.
Yeah, you're hanging out with Jeff, Keith Bilous, CMartyFit, and Jon Andersen, and Cam. I love your comments, man. I'll just give you a heads up, Cam. The more you stick around here, the better it is for our show. So keep bringing the comments in. And I'd love to put your comments on the screen, Cam, because I know you're an awesome viewer of ours. But we got to put the fun stuff up. We don't want to put the goofy stuff on the screen because Jeff's a pretty funny guy. And I'm not sure what you've accomplished in your life, Cam, but I would invite you to maybe do something accomplishing and throw it on the screen for us to share as well. That would be pretty good too. So,
Cam, we got to relax, bro.
Yeah, exactly. We'd love to have you on and have some fun with you. And Jeff is sharing some stories with us. Jeff, you said something which struck me because we talk about it often on the show. And Jon, I hope your ears are perked up for this one. But you said that you were battling with yourself. You're like, people are going to judge me. You said something along those lines. Now we're both the same age at 35, and we're past people judging us. Jeff Hadden. But yet you in your own mind were like, I don't know if I should hit send. I don't know if I should hit send. Jon Andersen saying, just hit the fucking button, man. Just go. Right. So talk about that feeling, Jeff, of that reluctance of, I don't know if I should hit send. I don't know if I should hit send, but you overcame your own beliefs to do it.
Yeah. I think that's what holds people back from a lot of things that they don't do. Like, I know everybody has dreams, things that they want to do, whether or not that's going after a new job or, putting themselves out there at a piece of content on social media. But yeah, that act of actually doing it, of actually starting, of quitting just thinking about it, of doing something bold that isn't like anybody. It's real easy to put a little post on social media of a meme that somebody else created that doesn't expose yourself at all. But there comes a point, and it's not for everybody, but there comes a point where if you push yourself beyond that fear, magical things can happen. They really can.
Yeah. What were you scared of, Jeff?
I don't know. What people would think. I mean, just the basics of, what holds us back, failure, looking bad, all the things that we're ever concerned about when we make a big, bold step in our lives, whatever it is we're doing. But we only live once. We're on this earth one time, so you might as well play the game. It's a lot more freeing to actually do than to sit on the sidelines wondering what if.
Yeah, I agree. So Jon and Marty got to rock and roll here for a moment. We're going to continue the conversation, Jeff. So Johnny, I'm going to throw to you here because I know you got to bolt here shortly, and so do you. But Jeff, I think that's what made me so enamored with you, was that I think I could see some of the same fears you've had in your eyes, some of those same reluctance. Oh, what are people going to think? I sit here on the show all the time, go, just do it, just do it, just do it. Oh yeah, there's moments that I'm scared shitless of doing it too.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm being a hypocrite, so I got to go and do it. Right. So I appreciate you for coming forward and saying, yeah, I was kind of scared of what people were going to think about me. Because Jeff, there's a lot of people on the show listening to me right now going, oh, I'm scared of what people are going to think.
Yeah.
We know, trust me, we know. right? And it's harder to go ahead and do it. Jon Andersen, I know you got to rock and roll. You got a final closing comment or question for Hadden before you rock and roll? And then, John, when you get back onto better internet coverage, we're going to get Hadden back on the show and continue the dialogue. But, Johnny, any closing comments for Jeff before you rock and roll, pal?
Nice. Yeah, I think that, listening to you talk, you clearly, you stepped out of your comfort zone and you did what you needed to do. And I think if people understood, the faster we learn to be unapologetically ourselves, the more fun we're going to have and the more successful we will be. So, Jeff, great job for basically saying, I'm going to be me no matter what you son of a bitches think.
That's it. I'm glad the son of a bitches part came out nice and clear. That's awesome. That's the best part of the whole conversation. So I feel like I was watching a Japanese anime there for a moment there where I saw son of a bitch. Son of a bitch again.
That's all I heard.
Anderson, have a good one, pal. Go fight the Bears, and we'll talk to you a little later. Okay, buddy? We'll see you later, Johnny. Marty, I know you got to rock and roll as well. And then, Jeff, once Marty rock and rolls, I want to get into personal branding, your LinkedIn journey. I'm really inspired and intrigued by that, man. So, Marty, I know you got to rock and roll, pal. You got some stuff coming up here. Closing comments for Jeff before you roll, pal.
Yeah, Jeff, I just want to say keep doing your thing. And, I can definitely relate to you, having those type of thoughts. And I've gotten a lot of negativity, before even like meeting Keith and getting in my content creation journey. So just keep going. And there's no age on it. You're not too old or anything like that. And just keep going, man.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, Marty. We'll see you around, okay, pal?
All right. Yep.
Thanks, buddy. All right, Hadden, you and me hanging out. Keith Bilous, CMartyFit, and Jon Andersen are gone for the day. Keith Bilous and Jeff Hadden, your morning show host today, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. And today, my friends, Jeff Hadden, the funniest guy on LinkedIn. Hey, Jeff, do you know who Amy Gindin is?
No.
I think I might have did a little. I think I tried to do a little connection tag and request over on LinkedIn when I was seeing your stuff. So Amy makes funny stuff as well. She creates 1-minute videos. She's out of Boston. I saw her stuff. I saw your stuff. I'm trying to do this morning show thing. There is a change afoot happening on LinkedIn, Jeff Hadden. Let's talk a little bit about this change happening with video and content changing. What's your point of view? A couple old dogs here looking at the platform. It's not just a job site anymore, Jeff Hadden. Talk about LinkedIn and why you've chosen that platform for you to grow.
Yeah. Well, it definitely is way more business focused than TikTok or
Yes.
Instagram are. So that's the main reason why
Yes.
I'm here.
Yes.
But I do think what we're seeing happening right now is this inevitable TikTokification of LinkedIn. And I'm there for it. I like it. I like the fact that we are adding some humor and entertainment to a platform that historically, has been a little stale potentially.
Yes.
I think there's a huge place for it. I just posted something the other day that's, I believe that the number is that the entertainment industry is worth $3 trillion annually. So there's something there to that.
Yes.
People do find value in entertainment. And I think that's one of the big shifts that we're seeing happening is that you're seeing more and more entertainment content start to take hold on LinkedIn. You're also seeing with this TikTokification, not only are things like humor becoming more mainstream, but you're also seeing that video is becoming more and more prevalent on LinkedIn. I'm sure you folks know, but LinkedIn is investing in their own kind of version of TikTok. I've heard people refer to it as Link Talk and other affectionate terms, but this video feed, which is basically promoting video, especially on a mobile device, because that's where the majority of users are accessing content on LinkedIn these days. And so that's something that I've really placed my bets and my chips on, is that's where LinkedIn is going. So I post a video every day and have done it, with the exception of maybe a day or two, every day for 3 or 4 months now. And that's all because of this TikTokification of LinkedIn, that I believe that this is where the future of content is going on the platform. I'll pause.
Jeff, we've been around the block a little bit, you and I. Is it easy for you to see the future of TikTok, Instagram Reels, LinkedIn, X? Are we not just looking at tomorrow's cable channels, Jeff?
Well, I think it's certainly taking the place of that. I think it's very different in terms of how people consume it. But yeah, that's where media is headed.
Like TikTok is our old remote control, isn't it, Jeff? When we grew up hitting the remote and just flicking the thumb up the remote, the kids are frustrated because dad's flicking the remote up and down on that. Like, so that physical, device that we held in our hand, which is vertical like our phone, but we just flicked.
Yeah.
And TikTok leaned into that whole idea of, hey, flick, 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 flick. It's hard. When I started this morning show, Jeff, I talk a little business with you right now. It's hard for me not to see the future of our social channels being very much yesterday's TV channels, because we know that society is not linear. Society is cyclical, and we're having success with this vintage morning show. You're having success with your vintage sales show. Like, you take things from yesterday, wrap them up in tomorrow's language and tomorrow's design, and people are leaning into it. No?
100%. So, I mean, I would say I like the analogy of TikTok being like the remote, and that you're able to just easily switch between quote unquote channels and change what you're watching. Also, I mean, you could argue that places like Netflix and all the streaming services that are out there, that's the new cable as well. That's what people are watching. And it's an exciting time. I mean,
but still very passive environments, right? So when you're, so I think that might be the difference when you're on that mobile device, there's still, you got something going on, right? It's less passive and more engaging.
Yeah.
Right. Speaking of engagement, how are you redefining LinkedIn engagement? Right? You make a post and then, you get right on it. So you've learned from that first post. Talk about the power of engagement. Talk about not necessarily so perhaps not so much focused on the views. I'm going to assume you're focused as much on the engagement, which I think is more powerful than anything. Let's lean into that a little bit, Jeff.
Yeah. Obviously, engagement is something you want with anything that you put out there. You want people to click like.
Yes.
You want people to comment, because it means they're actually getting something of value from whatever it is that you're putting out there. I would argue, though, that impressions, like actually getting your stuff seen, is extremely important as well. I can't tell you how many times, it's every week, I run into somebody, whether or not it's in person, like somebody I know in real life, or it's somebody that I've met before online, that sends me a message, or we talk, and they're like, dude, I've seen your videos. I love it. It's hilarious. You're killing it out there. But they're also the same person that's never engaged, never clicked like, never commented. I think that's one reason why you need to be careful not to be too concerned about engagement, because your stuff is getting seen by people. If you're having impressions. Now, if you get 50 impressions, that's only 50 eyeballs, 100 eyeballs that saw that. But it's a combination of those impressions as well as engagement, because I guarantee your stuff's being seen. Engagement is a measurement for you to say, okay, my stuff's being seen, and I have people that are actually, clicking like or engaging with it. That's basically feedback to me that what I'm doing is working, is the right thing. If you're getting zero engagement, it probably means that what you're doing needs a little bit more tweaking in order to start getting people more engaged.
What do you find works the best? Is it the obvious? Oh, Keith, it's the hook. Is it your expression in the thumbnail? Like when you're, what do you find is working best, Jeff, for you? Give our audience a nugget with the video content that you create.
Yeah. So having done this for consistently now, on LinkedIn specifically, I think there are a few things that are really important to boost engagement, like get people interested in watching it. So one of those is if you do the same thing over and over again, like for example, it's just me on my phone in the same exact spot in my house or walking or whatever I'm doing. If I just do that over and over and over again, people are going to start to tune out. Like I've seen this before. So I think mixing up what you're doing on video is important. And I think that gets people like their mental cue to go, hey, this is fresh and new. I haven't seen this before. So I would start there. Number two is, the first 3 seconds of that video, better engage them. You gotta catch them right there. It's got to be something interesting and engaging that makes them go, wow, this is different. I want to see what's going to happen here. So those first 3 seconds matter a lot. The length of the video matters a lot too. So I did, I went back in July and I looked at all of the videos that I'd posted in July. So it was 31 videos ish. And I looked at the top 10 of those based upon number of impressions, as well as the amount of engagement that I got. And I quantified engagement by the number of reactions that you're getting on each post, as well as the number of comments that you're getting on each post. And while I didn't have a completely, 100% definition of what the perfect video looked like, I could boil it down to something pretty simple, that it's under a minute, most likely. And if it's over a minute, it's not a long ways over a minute. So these are the ones that perform the best. My videos that actually performed the strongest.
Jeff, I think I lost your audio here, pal. There you go. Yeah.
Shit.
That's okay.
What'd you miss?
So you said videos less than a minute. Go into that second part there. So the best performing video was how long, Jeff?
Yeah, that's funny. I said that. I saw you like, what would you just say there? Yeah. I clicked the mute button accidentally. So in July, it was, I had a grouping of videos that was between 24 seconds and 31 seconds long.
Yeah.
And there were several of them that performed really well. And they were all very different. Like they weren't all just me, in front of a camera telling a joke. It was, each one broke its pattern in a unique way. For example, one of those was a video that I did on July 1st. So for those of us who are in sales, one of the things that is kind of a known in sales is you've got a quota that you got to hit for X period of time, whether it's a quarter, a month, a year. And then once that date hits, so let's call it July 1st is the start of a new quarter, you start all over again. So the video was me. I'd cooked I think it was 8 packets of ramen noodles. Like I cooked them all up. I was figured this would be an effective way to do this. And I dumped 8 packets of ramen noodles on a plate and pretended like I was eating the noodles over the course of the month of June. And I get to the end of the month and I eat my last noodle and I'm like so proud, like I did it, I made quota. And then July 1st comes around and a new plate of ramen, 8 more packets of ramen, 7 more packets of ramen is in front of me. So I think it was a 24, 25-second video, but very different from anything else that they'd seen from me because it's me sitting there freaking eating a plate of ramen with music playing. So those are some of the main things. So be different, like break patterns so that every video doesn't look the same. Even if you've got really good information that you're delivering, I'd say if you can just even change up your scenery, it'll make a difference. Keep it short. The shorter you can make it, the more effective it's going to be, as long as you can get your point across in that time. The other thing that I would say that is I can't understate is it's got to be relatable. So, for example, that ramen video, like if I would have just made a video of me eating ramen and I was like, isn't it hilarious when you get like 8 packets of ramen and you got to eat those all at once? And that was the message of the video, even though it's kind of funny, like it's not relatable. What made it relatable is the fact that people relate to the fact that, hey, yeah, I got to work hard to get quota, but then I got to start all over at the beginning of the month. And that is one of the things that I've always known, but probably didn't lean into as much as I have, especially over the last couple months of trying to make things that people can relate to. So just being funny for the sake of being funny doesn't work on LinkedIn. It just doesn't. And I've tried that before. I've tried to be, just do funny stuff because I'm like, oh, this is hilarious. I'm doing X, Y, Z, and I think it's funny, but nobody else can relate to it. So that's the other thing I would say is that just make sure that whatever you're putting out there, that people get it. They can feel it.
Do you test your videos? Do you try something on TikTok or Reels or YouTube and then put it on LinkedIn? Do you test it on LinkedIn and put it elsewhere? Do you have any testing protocols, Jeff, while you're testing your content out? Or no, you're just shaking your head? No,
not really. Other than sharing it with my wife.
Yeah.
And sometimes she'll go like, I'll give you an example of some feedback that I received. So the video that I put out yesterday was me, as a skit in 2 different characters. One was the evil LinkedIn master, who was kind of a pirate guy, and then his assistant, with a big kind of Quasimodo back. And they're having a conversation amongst each other about trying to get people more hooked on doing LinkedIn videos. And one of the concepts there is that, hey, if we increase the number of impressions that people get, that's going to be dopamine, and they're going to tell everybody else about it, which I've done. I've had one video that's over 450,000 impressions as of this morning, which is total dopamine. It's like, oh man, this is awesome. This is getting, exposed to the world. So that's what made that video relatable in my mind. But in terms of testing it, like I said, I share it with my wife. I shared it with her. Now she was my videographer, so she knew what I was doing, recording it. She didn't see it all pieced together. I said, "What do you think?" And she goes, "It's funny. It's weird, but it's funny." So I was like, "Oh, okay, funny and weird." So that was basically my test. So I was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot anyway."
How has your video success translated to sales success on Popper.ai, or has it not?
It definitely has. So we've seen a consistent stream of signups from people. Now, I mean, it's not hundreds of people per day by any means, but people that sign up for Popper because they saw a video of mine, because they went to my profile, because they said, "Oh, this is interesting. You know, I can start more conversations in my LinkedIn DMs." They'll go to the website. There's no friction on the website. It's like, click here for a free trial, and we can, you know, they'll start using it. So that's been my goal all along with doing this, is if I can get myself out there, without pitching product, because pitching product doesn't work.
No.
Like it turns people off. But if I can expose people to me and what I'm doing, and that leads to more people getting exposed to the business side of what I do, I think that's a win.
So what you've done is you've used your personal brand, your humor, and all of that. And then as a result of people engaging with your personal brand and your humor, you serve them up Popper. And you're like, yeah, hey, here's me. But here's what I really do, though. And you show them the business over here. And that's what you're saying is working for you, right?
Yeah. And that's all self-discovery. Like they're doing that on their own.
Yeah.
So I'm not at any point, you know, pitching people like, hey, you know, go check this out. You know, they're discovering it on their own.
Jeff, somebody's listening to the show right now. They want to do video, but they don't know where to start. What are the first things they should be doing to actually get started? Don't give me a list. Don't just say get started. They're listening right now. They go, I don't know where to get started, Jeff. Like, I don't know what to do. What are you saying to that person?
I'd say step one is probably practice putting yourself on camera.
Mm.
The reality is that some people are more comfortable on camera than others are. And forcing yourself to do that through practice, even if it's a video you don't share like right away, I think is probably a healthy like habit to get into.
Mm-hmm.
You could even do that once a day, but you're not posting anything. But once a day, I'm going to start putting myself on camera and just telling a little story until you get to a point where you feel some comfort level, like less anxiety with, you know, turning on the record button. I think that's a really good place to start. I know this because of the video production business that we have. We work with a lot of people, from realtors to restaurant owners to, you know, all, you know, positions, you know, all different types of roles. Some are really good and natural on camera. Others are terrified and petrified of doing it. They know they need to, but I'd say get over that hump first is probably a good place to start. And then you can start to focus in on what it is you're going to talk about, that is relatable, is something that people are going to find interesting.
It's interesting to hear you speak of that, because I think about somebody we mutually have, a friend in LinkedIn, which is So Young Park. And I saw a comment she just made on my feed, which is people are saying to her, So Young, that stuff doesn't belong on LinkedIn. That's you're being too personal. It doesn't belong there. It doesn't belong there. Right. Yet, you know, during her journey, she was just encouraged to just shoot a video, So Young. And I remember her seeing her first video. Just do it once, just put it out there. Mm-hmm. And she did a second one and then a third one. Right. What do you say to people that are looking at somebody like yourself, myself, So Young? Oh, that stuff doesn't belong on LinkedIn. What are you saying to that?
Wake up. I mean, again, whether or not you like it or not, the TikTokification of LinkedIn is happening. We will start to see more and more people exposing themselves more personally on LinkedIn, and putting more entertainment stuff out there, like I've been putting out there. It's just what's happening. That's what's happened with every social media platform there is, and LinkedIn is like people are human, right? And humans like other humans. They like to be entertained. They like to learn about people, to be exposed to things that makes them feel more human and feel more personal. So that's the reality of what's happening. I did see a guy, I actually made a post about this. I think it was this last July too. It was a guy who had commented on another creator who, this is a woman who's killing it, and it's humor that she's using. I just discovered her. I'm like, how did I not know this person existed before? Because she's putting out hilarious video content. I mean, it's right up my alley, and it's relatable to people as well. And some dude was just trolling her in the comments, like all caps, "This is not Facebook, people. What are we doing here? You know, there's no value in this." And it's like, why do you care? Like, go look somewhere. Don't follow her. Go look somewhere else if it really bothers you that much. But other people, I mean, she had 500 comments on the post, or 500 likes and a bunch of comments. Other people obviously like this and engage with this. So if it's not your cup of tea, don't worry about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're hanging out with Jeff Hadden here, Mornings and Alive with Keith and friends. CMartyFit and Jon Andersen are off starting their day, and we're hanging out with Jeff. Want to be respectful of Jeff's time here, so we're going to work towards wrapping up our conversation. Jeff, I probably can clearly sit and chat with you for a long time here. But Jeff, is LinkedIn overrated for personal branding, or is it at the right time, at the right place for society today?
I do not think LinkedIn is overrated by any means for personal branding. I think it is the place for, especially for B2B.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where the most value is on LinkedIn over the other social media platforms, is if you are in the B2B space, because I think you can provide more exposure to your business, your brand on this platform on LinkedIn than you can on the others. Absolutely not overrated. And I absolutely believe that we're still at the, infancy, if not toddler stages of this. I mean, it's still going to continue to just blow up.
Jeff, I'll just share with you a quick little shine a light into some of my business strategy here. I'm using LinkedIn as the source of truth. Mm-hmm. Once I recognize that Jeff's a real human being, Jeff's got a wallet, boom, 2 green check marks. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now I can go find Jeff on Instagram and every other platform. But what I need to validate is that you're a real human. And now I can then kind of draw a circle around you. I can go find you on the rest of the networks and start engaging with you. Because once I recognize you're a real human, not a bot, not fake, I can now work towards leaning in towards you. So LinkedIn, for me, from a business perspective, when I came back into the workforce here, I looked around at all the platforms, and I came from the social media world. I said to myself, and Cam, you're right. A lot of fakery over on Instagram. I'd suggest more fakery on Instagram than any other platform in the world. But we'll have that conversation another day. And yes, there's fakery on LinkedIn too.
Sure.
But I believe the higher probability of finding a source of truth that Jeff Hadden is a real human being, I can validate that strongly over on LinkedIn. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
More so than anywhere else. So Jeff, where do we go from here, man? You got your day started. What's the rest of your year look like with Jeff and the business? Is it video after video? Like, is the game show, is what you're doing on a day-to-day business a part of your future as you continue to grow your business? Or is this somewhat of an anomaly? Or are you going, no, this is working for me, I'm going even harder at this?
Yeah, I'm committed to continuing on this path, which is about a video a day with the goal of entertaining my audience. And then I typically have been posting. I started just doing this here mid-July, started posting in the morning with a non-video as well, so I get exposed to different types of people, because not everybody's going to take the time to watch a video. Mm-hmm. The end game, I actually have a secret business that I'm building in the background that's also very connected to LinkedIn, that I'll be starting to unveil and pull back the curtain on here over the next few weeks. But I'm really high on it. I think it's got a ton of potential. So we'll see that, but it's connected to what I'm doing now, which is staying out there, staying in front of people, building an audience. And hopefully the plan is that leads to some success with this new business as well.
Awesome. Jeff Hadden joining me here, Mornings in the Lab with Keith, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen, producer Christina Flynn. Jeff's from Popper.ai. He is a video guru. He's one of the funniest guys I have seen on LinkedIn. I invite you to follow him on the platform. Jeff, how do we close our chat today, pal? Anything you want to leave for the audience? Anything the audience needs to know about you that we have not spoken about here today on the show, Jeff? You know, and I can't believe our hour is already up, dude. We could sit here for probably much longer than this. But what do you want to offer the audience before we say goodbye?
I would say, just final closing thoughts. Don't take yourself too seriously.
Yeah.
Enjoy what you're doing. If you're not enjoying it, it's not worth doing. So find what that lane is for you. And I think you found the right thing to double down on.
Excellent. Exceptional advice from Jeff Hadden this morning, the LinkedIn video guy making funny content. So young. I'll leave a comment from you on the stage here, which is, if you don't have anything nice to say, unfollow and scroll on by. No need to be nasty. I agree. And I love the fact that we have had a guest hanging out with us in the comments the whole show. Cam, I appreciate you. I appreciate you driving up my view numbers, my viewership numbers, all the stats. That's awesome because that helps pay the bills, even with all the nasty comments in the feed, dude. I love it. So keep tuning in, like the channel, subscribe to the channel, share it with all your friends, and come back and join us again. Jeff Hadden, I'm going to ask you to hang around in the green room while I say goodbye to the audience, and I'm going to come walk you out, okay?
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Let's do that. Oh, hey, Jeff. One last thing before I do say goodbye, though. Or so for, we started the show. I would expect you not to have heard the start of the show. You were probably still kind of getting in a snooze mode, but I will leave you with this. Jeff, there was a woman recently charged with, well, we'll talk about this in another show. Nation, we'll leave that for a hook with Jeff. I'll tell him in the green room. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to go say goodbye to Jeff in the green room, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Mornings in the Lab. Keith, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen, and of course, producer Christina Flynn. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Jeff,
thanks for having me.
Okay? Yeah, hang tight, pal. Boom, boom, boom. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We're right here. Cam, I love you joining in. So Young, thanks for joining in. Deuce, thanks for joining in. Lotus Flowers, thanks for joining in. Everybody who's joined the show today, the big double hour. Jenny Suka joined us for the first hour. And of course, we had Jeff Hadden leaning into personal branding and LinkedIn stuff here on Mornings in the Lab. So I'm going to get out, going to walk Jeff out of the lab and get back to work. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, Mornings in the Lab, 8 o'clock Eastern time, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, all the other great platforms. We'll see you guys.